Welcome to the Quip Corner's Book Corner. I have the pleasure of spending time with someone who's been in the Quip Corner before. You'll see his bio right after this. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the Quip Corner's Book Corner, Dr. Eric.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be invited back. So it's a privilege, it's an honor and an opportunity. So thank you so very much. I don't take it for granted or lightly, but thank you for allowing me to come back to share.
Thanks for accepting the invitation, because you know how it is in the scriptures. Invitations went out, but people did not show up.
Absolutely.
So today we're here to talk about another one of your books. Why don't you just take it away?
All right. Well, again, thank you so very much. And to all your listeners, to your audience, thank y'all for tuning in to this amazing show. So thank you for taking time out. But yes, want to talk about this book, which is near and dear, The Power of the Seed, which was birthed out of just God giving me a whole revelation and from the whole tree perspective. So definitely want everyone to understand how powerful the seed is. The Power of the Seed is a book that helps you to understand how powerful the seed is, and that everything starts with the seed. And so from Christ being our ultimate seed, the seed is powerful. And because from the natural aspect and the spiritual aspect, I deal from the farmer's aspect of it, the agriculture and the way of living, to the believer's aspect of we see, sow and plant, we look for harvest. But the power of the seed was birthed out of an experience asking God for a project to be a blessing to my pastor, first lady, to ministry, and to the kingdom. There was a tree in my yard. So when I opened the door to the deck, and it was about 5:40 in the morning on a Saturday morning, because I pray at 5. And so this tree had changed colors. And the Lord said, your season just changed. Your season just changed. And so when I turned around, he said, put it in the book, The Power of the Seed. And so I took out a piece of paper and I began to write and draw the tree. And what I did was sent it to a friend of mine who has a graphic design, who would probably say, what in the world is he sending me at 5:45 in the morning? But I always am reminded I could have missed that Kairos moment. I could have missed that door of opportunity that God had gave me this vision, had gave me something, and I could have missed it because the procrastination. And so I began to start the process of it. And so now when I look back at it, it has been such a blessing. And even that went into now a workbook and a worksheet. And so the power of the seed will help you understand that the process, the preparation before the seeding, the sowing, the planting, and as a farmer has to prepare the ground and get the soil ready. So that's where I want people to understand that it's powerful with the seed, but you got to go through the necessary steps in order to get the harvest that will come later. And so that's what it is. It helps them to understand, even from the biblical aspect of the parable of the sower. And not only that, because we got to make sure it's sown into good ground, because every ground is not good ground, and you want to make sure that the ground is ready. You want to make sure it's good ground. And so from the believer's aspect is that we sow looking for a harvest, but even with the planting, the sowing, you got to make sure that the ground is right. Make sure it's good ground. And then you go through the waiting process. But in the middle of the process is the most important, because we can't get stuck in the middle. We got to water it. We got to harvest it. We got to nurture it. And so the seed will germinate through the underground process to get to the set time and season that it will produce that which was sown. But here's the thing. It may not be that year that the farmer gets the harvest. So what he has to do is start it all over again. We don't like to start the process. We don't want to go through the process, but in order to get what has been planted, in order to get the harvest, you got to go through the necessary process. You got to do the waiting period. As my pastor said, waiting may not be popular, but it still works. We don't like to wait, so we get stuck in the waiting period. we get stuck in the middle of the process, not knowing that something great is going to come at the end. And so when all of that, that's why with the roots of the tree, it will expand. It will go further. But you got to go through the necessary things. So the power of the seed is going to help you to understand that.
Wow. Wow. That sounds, excuse the pun, very powerful.
Thank you.
You know, when you made the comments about waiting, truly a lot of us get stuck in waiting. I remember reading, a couple of years ago, I read, one of these prayers, Lord, give me patience, and I need it now. So it's like, okay, if you're in a hurry to get patience, how would you then use it if you're always in a hurry? So I see that a lot of us are, like you said, stuck in the waiting period. So how does your book help people, shall I say, shift their minds and realize that waiting is part of that process?
Well, here's the thing, is that in that waiting process, once a farmer from beginning to end, he's got to go through the whole process. Or just like even if you put a cake, you got to go through all the ingredients. You got to do all of that, have everything you need, then put it in the oven. But you got to wait for it to bake. But you got to wait for the timing that it's right to take it out, because you may take it out too soon. It may look good on the outside, but it's not done on the inside. So what do you have to do? You got to put it back in. If we don't go through the whole development and the maturity, we won't be developed. If the farmer doesn't go through the whole process, he'll never see the harvest. So in that waiting period, we get so stuck in that waiting that we get in a hurry and we get in a rush. And you talk about that patience, and we talk about all of that, but that's in my next book that's coming, because we don't really know how to handle the patience or endurance. And so life will teach you that. Because some things will help you to understand you're going to have to endure and you're going to have some patience. But why rush? Because when you rush, you miss what's the in between. You can't rush through the book. And as a teacher would know if you read it, because you may skip chapter 5 and 6. And what she's testing you on is in 5 and 6. And you done jump to chapter 10. And so we never want to wait. And so you got to go through that waiting period to understand it's something worth waiting for. Paul says in Galatians, listen, you don't got to get weary. You got a harvest coming, but I got to wait for my harvest to get there. I've planted, I've sown, I've watered, but guess what? I still got to wait till the timing is right. I got to go through that waiting period. Caleb waited 45 years for a promise. At 85, it was still good when he got the promise at 40. So he waited, and it was so much more at the end when he waited for that promise. He said, I'm just as strong now. And so when we go through the waiting period, when you wait, it's worth, I tell people, it's worth the wait. Because why rush the process? Why try to rush and not get everything that God has? You can rush and miss what you really been waiting for by not waiting and rushing. People are so in a hurry. On my way yesterday, I saw 4 different accidents. Why? People are in a rush. Nobody wants to wait. So now I'm looking at all these accidents when somebody could have just waited. Somebody rushed through the light. Somebody went through the stop sign. And now what are you looking at? But some may survive and some may not. I worked in the trauma room. Some made it, some didn't, because people are in a hurry. Nobody wants to wait. It's like a microwavable. And I have an illustration in this book with the microwave. We're living in a microwavable age. Everybody wants everything instant. Some things got to go in the oven. Some things go in a crock pot. Some things you can put in a microwave.
That's right.
But there's the waiting period.
For sure.
If I got to put it in the oven, if I got to put it in the crock pot, even if I got to put it in the microwave, I still got to wait for the timing of it to go off.
Wow. Oh, thank you. Thanks for, sharing about your book. I know we shared this, when you came to the Quip Corner earlier, about how people can get your books. And we will put that information below this video. But Please say it again. How can people get copies of your book?
It is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or if they look me up on any of the libraries in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, PA, the information's in here because they're also in the libraries, or they can always contact me on all of the social media. Nice. And I'll be glad to sign a copy. They can get a copy. So yeah, you definitely could be reached on any of the social media outlets. But as I said, you can go to Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Target website, Walmart's website, and definitely it's on there.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's good to hear. Okay, so we'll put that information below this video, and I'll remember to put a link to your previous video so people can just get a feel for you and your books. Ooh, wow. Thanks again, Dr. Eric, for joining me in the Quip Corner's Book Corner.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and always being able to share with listeners, and whether there's an inspiring author or someone just may need a good book or just may need inspirational encouragement, whatever they may be trying to do, whether it's a business, and always being able to share with somebody in your journey and what you went through to help them to be encouraged that did not to quit and to keep on going.
Yeah. Thank you. Woo! That was something. I was nodding and clapping and cheering when he was talking about waiting, because I remember something that happened to me when I was much younger. My mom had us have, our little gardens, and I just couldn't wait for my beans to sprout. So every weekend, I dug it up. Well, needless to say, it took longer for my harvest to come. So waiting is important, very important. Of course, that is if you want to harvest, right? Lots to learn from Dr. Eric's book. I hope you consider getting a copy for yourself. Until we catch up again, do take care. Bye now.